Welcome to agithp.com. We're going to tackle the one question most enterprise AI programs try to sidestep. Why do organizations, even with these massive AI investments, completely freeze up when regulators ask them to prove governance? The focus here is all practical. We're talking decision architecture for regulated industries, governance frameworks that actually produce evidence, not just dusty policy binders, and agentic systems that have controls built right in. So if you're a CIO, a VP of AI, or anyone who needs frameworks you can actually implement, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's just start with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. 95%. According to MIT research, that's the percentage of all enterprise AI pilots that never, ever make it into production. Just think about that. Almost every single one of those exciting demos, those proofs of concept, poof, they just disappear.
And this isn't some small side project problem. We are talking about a staggering amount of money. In 2024 alone, enterprises are on track to spend $40 billion on AI. That is an unbelievable amount of cash to set on fire for a 95% failure rate. So what on earth is going on here?
Well, what's going on is that we're living through an AI pilot failure epidemic. And this isn't some new thing, but what's crazy is that S&P Global found the problem is actually getting worse. More companies are pulling the plug on their AI projects now than they did last year. And let me be clear, this isn't because they chose the wrong large language model or because their data is messy. No, the root cause is much, much deeper. And this slide right here really just visualizes the whole collapse. Look at this enterprise AI funnel. It starts off looking okay, right? 60% of companies are evaluating AI systems. But then, look what happens. Only a third of those, just 20%, even bother to launch a pilot. And from there, the bottom just falls out. A tiny 5%, actually make it into production where they can deliver any real business value. The whole funnel is completely broken. So after tracking all these billions of dollars in investment, what did the researchers at MIT figure out? Well, it turns out the barrier isn't what you'd probably guess. It's not the tech infrastructure, it's not regulations, it's not even a lack of talent. The core barrier is learning. The AI, for all its brilliance, simply can't learn how your specific organization actually gets work done. And that right there, that brings us to the real why behind all these failures. I call it the missing context problem. You see, the AI systems we're deploying, they're kind of like a brilliant intern on their very first day. They've read every single manual, they've memorized the employee handbook, but they have absolutely no idea how things actually work around here. This slide just nails the difference perfectly. So imagine a loan officer asks an AI, hey, can I approve this loan? The AI's knowledge, that's what's on the right. It's the official policy document. It knows the rules, chapter, and verse. But the human on the left, they have expertise. They know this loan officer just got promoted and actually doesn't have the authority for this amount yet. They know there's a risk warning for that entire sector, and oh, by the way, a really similar loan was shot down just 6 months ago. See the difference? The AI has the policy, but zero real-world context. What that human loan officer has is something we call institutional memory. And this is all the critical stuff that you will never, ever find in a document. It's that wisdom people pick up in hallway conversations, or from watching which decisions got approved in the past, or from just knowing who really has the authority to make something happen. It's the unwritten rulebook, and to our AI systems today, it's completely invisible. Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. But wait, we use RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. That solves this. And look, RAG is a fantastic piece of technology. It is amazing at finding the right documents. But that's where it stops. RAG gives you the knowledge, what the policy document says. It doesn't give you the context of whether that policy applies to this person in this situation right now. And that gap, right there, is why so many promising RAG projects just completely stall out. Okay, so if the problem is this huge gaping hole of missing context, then what's the solution? Well, it's a piece of infrastructure. It's an architectural layer that we call the enterprise digital twin. And this is what allows us to build a totally new context-aware foundation for our AI. So what exactly is an enterprise digital twin, or EDT for short? Simple. It's a context layer. Think of it as a living, breathing model of your organization. Not the physical building, but the way it actually operates. It maps out all the reporting structures, the official policies, the decision rights, and yes, even that fuzzy institutional memory we were just talking about. And it puts it all in a language that an AI can finally understand and reason over. Now, It's really important we get this clear. When people hear digital twin, their mind usually jumps to the industrial world, right? A digital twin of a jet engine or a factory floor. This is not that. An EDT models how your organization thinks, decides, and works. And while it definitely uses things like knowledge graphs, it is not just a knowledge graph. It's a whole context layer built specifically for AI reasoning. All right, so how does this thing actually work? How does it provide all that missing context we so desperately need? Well, the EDT organizes all of that messy, complex organizational reality into 5 clear, distinct layers. And here they are, the 5 layers. It starts with the basics, right? Organizational topology. That's just who reports to whom. Then you've got the policy fabric. Those are the rules. Operational state, what's happening in the business right this second. Institutional memory, what happened before. But this 5th layer, constraint topology, this is the absolute game changer. This is what separates a simple knowledge base from true operational awareness. It tells the AI not just what the rules are, but what is actually possible to do today. Okay, let's make this super practical. Here is a typical, everyday question a relationship manager at a bank might ask their AI assistant. A totally straightforward business query. Let's see how the old way and the new way handle it. So, without an EDT, a standard AI using RAG just goes and finds the commercial lending policy document and gives you a nice little summary. The answer it gives is 100% accurate and 100% useless. The manager already knows the policy. What they need to know is if they can approve this specific deal for this specific client. Okay, now watch the difference when the EDT is plugged in. The answer is suddenly multi-layered, and it's actually actionable. First, it checks authority. Nope, your personal limit is 6 million. This is going to need committee approval. Then it checks the current state. Good news, the client's covenants are all up to date. Then it checks constraints. But we've got a problem. Our commercial real estate concentration is at 94%, so this will require an exception. And then, crucially, it checks precedent. By the way, we granted a similar exception for Hendrix Industrial last quarter. This is an answer you can actually do something with. And this is the part that makes the governance and compliance folks sit up and get really excited. Every single piece of that answer is traceable. It is defensible to an auditor, it's explainable to a regulator, and you can prove exactly why the AI made the recommendation it did. This is what real grown-up AI explainability looks like in a business setting. Okay, this all sounds fantastic, but I can hear the question already. Does this actually make financial sense? So let's talk about the business case for building this kind of infrastructure. The math is actually pretty compelling. When you centralize this context layer, you get to eliminate all of that duplicate, painful integration work that every single AI pilot has to do over and over again. And because you're giving them the context they need, you dramatically slash that 95% failure rate. For a medium-sized company, we're talking about recovering millions in wasted investment and generating millions more in real benefits, with an ROI that often pays for itself inside of the first year. Here's a really powerful way to think about it. Right now, most companies are paying a hidden context tax on every single AI project. They rebuild it from scratch, and then they throw it all away when the pilot fails. The enterprise digital twin flips that completely. It turns that tax into an infrastructure dividend. You build it once, and it pays returns across every single AI initiative you launch from now on. And that really brings us to the final critical question. You see, the next wave of AI, it's not just about answering questions. It's about taking action. We're talking about agentic AIs that can operate autonomously. So the real question isn't if you're going to need this kind of governance infrastructure. The question is whether you build it proactively before that wave arrives or reactively after it's already creating chaos. And that's the high-level overview. The full article on the site goes way deeper into implementation details, architecture patterns, and the practical next steps. So here are 3 things you can do right now. First, go read the complete article at ajithp.com. You'll get the full framework and all the references. Second, explore the related content there on things like decision velocity and the CTRS framework for governance. And third, if this changed how you think about AI governance, please share it, like, subscribe, and help spread the word. A huge amount of research goes into every single one of these pieces, and your support is what makes it possible to keep all this knowledge open. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.